I was told that this was a bad idea. And I was told that this was not smart. And I was told, stay where you are. It was their own perceptions and their own fears being projected onto me. You have to be careful of that. You've got to be around the people that are saying and thinking and doing big things. Because they're just going to give you that courage. We all need the courage. It takes a lot of bravery to step out and say, this isn't all there is. I want more.
I love it. What I mean, you are glowing. All of us can get the lesson. Welcome back to Direct Selling Shift. I'm your host, Blake Mallon. I'm going to let you know up front, our guest today possesses some truly unique gifts that have set her apart in the world of entrepreneurship. And I think you're going to feel what I mean by that comments through our conversation today. She discovered direct sales, network marketing at a really pivotal moment in her life. She was working on Wall Street for 11 years. Fast forward, she has now become one of the top leaders in the channel over a decade now, inspiring a team of over 12,000. Get this, generating over $50 million a year in revenue. Truly amazing. She has a remarkable ability to not only envision success, she's a dreamer, but also has developed the way to truly trust the journey, trust the process, no matter what that looks like along the way. We're going to get into that. Her proudest achievements go well beyond the financial independence and really go into gaining the freedom and control over her life and her future. In her own words, this business has granted her a freedom that is far greater than any title or paycheck. And her personal mission is to help others see the limitless potential in themselves and step into their power to change their lives. Join us as we dive into her journey and learn the shifts behind what has been an extraordinary success story. Please welcome to the show none other than Mary Kay Kemper. Mary Kay, how are you doing?
Woo! I feel like I'm unstoppable. Like I could take on the world after that intro. Thank you.
I love it. You are glowing. You're already radiating. We haven't even started the conversation yet.
It's like nothing but chills because sometimes I honestly feel so grateful and so blessed to have found this industry and to have unlocked my own, limitless potential and power and been able to sort of use this platform to do that for others. It's nothing short of such a blessing for me. It wells up emotion in me. I'm just so passionate about people. So I don't know any other industry that has an ability to have human connection the way that we get to every single day in network marketing.
Well, I've been looking forward to our conversation. I was at DSN Direct Selling University last week, and it was just happenstance. I was backstage because we were scheduled together with your company's founder, and she came up to me and she said, "Oh, you're talking with Mary Kay soon. I'm so excited." So she got me all pumped for this conversation and had just such amazing things to say about what you're doing within really this channel right now. So let's go ahead and start. So Wall Street, 11 years and
Yes.
direct selling. So tell us about that story and what got you here.
My goodness. Whew. Okay, I'm going to try to do this in a very condensed way. My whole family worked on Wall Street. It was kind of something that was just very easy and sort of made sense when I graduated college to get into. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but I graduated college and I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what I wanted to do in this world. I was living what I refer to as a very default life, according to what others thought I should be and do and live, right? So it just was very easy. My family was like, okay, you're going to go interview on Wall Street. I just didn't have a drive. I didn't have any ambition as a young, 20-something year old. Mm-hmm. And so I went into Wall Street and, I think I did well. I never really advanced up to the top of the ranks, but I certainly did well. And I was making a significant income there. And I was enjoying relationships and having a good time, but it never felt purposeful. I never felt aligned with what I was doing. It was very much a grind. Show up at work, do what you got to do and
Hmm.
get out. But I put myself in a box, Blake, is like the best way that I can describe this, right? Is that I was just in this box of living it was like simply surviving, but not living. Let's just put it that way, right? So when, September 2001 happens and I lost my brother on that day. He was on the 89th floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And I'm sure everyone listening can understand that something like that just makes you reevaluate your life,
Hmm.
and really look at things and ask yourself those tough questions of, am I doing what I'm meant to do? And am I having joy and happiness and purpose in my life? And the answer at the time was, definitely no. But after September 11th, and I'm sure people who have gone through major grief can understand this as well, it really took me 10 years to even address the loss of my brother, to really look into that grief. So it was really in the 2011, 2012 stage of my life where I was like finally ready to address it and say, what is this as good as it gets? Is this what is going to be my life? And at the time I was married, 3 young kids, my youngest was about a year and a half old at the time. And I started to ask those life questions. I was almost 40 years old and I was saying to myself, what is there more? And more, even deeper than that was, who am I? Who am I? Like, what makes me passionate about things? What brings me joy? I just remember saying, I really want to be someone. And it wasn't celebrity or any of that stuff. It was just, I just wanted to be someone. And I think that that's, a human need, right? To be seen and to be understood and to be heard. And I was raised in an Irish Catholic family. I don't know if people can relate to this, and it's not good, bad, right, or wrong, but it was very much the messaging of you're meant to be seen, not heard. And emotions were not validated. And it wasn't like you could really have this big voice of who you were or what you wanted. I never was taught to dream. I never was, kind of raised in the sense of you could do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. Go out there and get it. That was never the messaging to me as a little girl. It was more like, find yourself a man that's going to give you the life you want,
Hmm.
you know? And so this is honestly how I found network marketing. And at the time when I was asking all these questions of who am I? What do I want to be? It's scary. It's scary. You want to ignore those nudges. You really want to ignore those nudges because let me tell you, life wasn't bad, right? I had food on the table. My kids were healthy. I was living in a beautiful home in the suburbs of Connecticut. Life wasn't bad. But this is why I'm so passionate about women really digging deep today in this current role, because you never know what you don't know. And I'm so thankful that I kept going with these nudges and that I really listened to that gut and that intuition of what else is out there. The opportunity of my company was presented to me and I said no. I was like, network marketing. I mean, I'm going to be honest with your listeners. I had the stigma. I was a corporate minded person. I was like, oh, that's for, I don't even know who that's for. That would never be me. I could never do something like that. And, I just explained I was raised in this not finding your voice and be seen, not heard. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to be a leader. No way, And so I said no. My founders were very passionate about what they were doing. And they didn't give up on me because they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I
Hmm.
think that that's really where it began, where I was, asking myself these questions. Yes. But when we start to do that, the universe really opens up to you. Right. And you better be ready to receive some gifts, right? You better be ready to open your eyes. If you're going to ask, is there more? And what else is there for me? You better be ready to then be open to what shows up. Right. And I remember specifically, my founder saying to me, listen, like, why are you overthinking this? Like, because I was intimidated. I didn't understand the product that we were going to distribute. I was intimidated by the product we were going to distribute. I didn't know anything about this industry. The word entrepreneur, I don't even know if I knew how to spell it. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to be a leader. People are going to follow me. People are going to want to do what I want to do. Everything they were asking me to do was triggering every fear that I possibly could have ever felt at that point in my life. And they just kept speaking to me about a bigger picture. They started saying words like empowerment. They started saying words like being financially secure. They started saying things like freedom and having control of your schedule. And as I said, I had 3 young kids at home at the time. And so it became about that. It became about the bigger mission. And truly, 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 I don't know how I was able to put my fears aside, except that I truly attribute it to my brother from a very
Mhm.
heavenly place where he just kept telling me, like, this is it. And he somehow kept getting that sign through to me. Like, this is it. This is what you're searching for. This is what you're looking for. Put your fears aside and go all in. And don't worry about how, just allow.
It's such an inspiring story, Mary Kay. And I obviously in this conversation, I want to get to business and what you're doing to accomplish what you're accomplishing, and also just the shifts that we're seeing in our channel right now that we're all experiencing, and really gain some insight on what you're doing to adapt and thrive right in this climate. But you just gave us so much in that story. Before we go to kind of that side, if you don't mind, I want to dive deeper into a few of the things that you said, because I think there are parts of your story that you just shared that a lot of our individuals and all of us, right, that are on this entrepreneurial journey in direct sales can learn from, from our own story. So, kind of rewind. First, I want to compliment you for recognizing that comfort
Mm.
is one of the hardest places to be.
Ooh,
You
it's
know,
frustrating.
just the reality, right? It's easy for
Yeah.
people in a place where they have to, and the back's against the wall, and there's no other option. But like, you were in a place that wasn't that. You were in a place that you were living the lifestyle many of us are taught to go live. You were comfortable. I once had a mentor tell me that comfort leads to complacency,
Oh,
and complacency leads to discontentment. And if you stay there that long, it leads to crisis in our life. But most people don't realize that comfort was the start until they're in that crisis point. You made that shift. I'm sorry to hear about your brother. Was he a younger brother, older brother?
he was actually older than me. Yeah, he was 2 years older than me. He was 29 years old at the time. Um, yeah, horrible.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. So first off, we all send our empathy, compassion, prayers.
Thank you.
I'm sure all of that took a long time and still, right, to process. I'm curious on that moment because it sounds like that was the defining moment for you to make a shift.
Mm-hmm.
Was that moment instant? Was that moment years later? How did that moment lead to moving you from a place of comfortable to saying there was more, and actually making the leap, actually making the decision, actually letting go of the comfortable place you were supposed to be and jumping into this crazy thing called entrepreneurship? When did that moment hit? How did that moment hit? And what gave you enough to actually say you're going to do it?
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to try to articulate this as best I can. So it was not instant.
Mhm.
It took a very long time. I mean, when you're living a life of complacency and comfort, it's my experience that you take anything and try to use it as an excuse and
Mhm.
become a bit of a victim to it. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but I was absolutely in a place of playing a victim of the loss of my brother. And I brought that to everything. Like, well, I'm not really doing great today, but it's because I lost my brother. Like that became my crutch, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So it was most definitely not overnight. It was many years of continuing the grind, continuing to live, but really just playing a victim. I mean, I can't, I don't know how else to explain it. Um, but I got to a place of no one's gonna save me. No one's coming to rescue me.
Mhm.
And that was through, like, really one of my major shifts was really getting in touch with my faith and starting a spiritual journey. Because at the beginning, I didn't even want to believe that my brother could speak to me or come to me or have a sign for me or anything like that. I wasn't in a place of faith with that. But I started to realize that I needed support. I needed something. I was literally, as I said earlier, surviving, and I was very void of joy.
Mhm.
And I had children and things that could give me joy, but it was surviving. I don't know how else to say it. And I just really remember specifically hearing, and it was a very physical feeling for me. It was like an irk in your soul that
Mhm.
just every once in a while was showing up. And I would say, what is that? What is that? What is that? And if I got really quiet, I would hear, you're very powerful. You're more powerful than you think. And I come from a family of very powerful women, Blake. Like, I
Mhm.
have aunts that the reason why I even went to Wall Street is, most of my family were like top of their game at Wall Street, like very successful and very just amazingly happy and thriving in their lives. And the voice inside me was saying, if you think your aunts are powerful, wait till you see what you can do.
Mhm.
And I really believe that if people sit quietly and they start asking questions, you're going to get signs. If you're open, you're going to get something. There's something that's going to be like, oh, what's that? And I just encourage everybody, keep pushing at it, keep going at it, keep questioning it, get curious. And I just kept getting curious.
I think anybody listening to your story right now, we can all relate, right? When I'm hearing at the core of your story, it's this pull between what I'm going to call expectations, right? Sometimes I call it you're supposed to, right? We all have this image of what we've been told we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act. And for you and your whole family, it was this Wall Street comfortable job, right? It was this expectation. And what I'm hearing you describe, it's kind of purpose, right? It's this expectations. You can call it purpose, you can call it passion, you can call it what we're meant to do or designed to do. You call it your more. And I think all of us can relate to feeling conflicted at times from maybe a path we're on because it's what we've been taught,
Mhm.
and this irk that you're describing, this feeling that we're describing that is calling or pulling us in a different direction. And you're saying signs like, what do those
Yes.
signs look like? So for a listener out there that's like, yep, I'm running motions. Yep, I'm doing the safe, comfortable 9 to 5. Yes, I'm in a career, but yes, I feel there's something more that maybe they're ignoring. Like maybe they don't even recognize they have the signs, but those are the signs and they keep suppressing the signs and they're still ignoring the signs. What do those signs look like so we all can be aware that like
Oh my
that's the
God.
sign, that's the irk?
Oh my gosh. Well, for me, it was a few things. It really was a physical feeling. And
Okay.
and sometimes when you're out of alignment with who you are and your soul and what you're meant to be, you will physically not feel well. But even just a simple thing as a chill in your body is a way to really know that you're on your right path. At least that's for me. So
I think all of us can get the lesson and realize that there is something inside of you that points you the right direction. And when you're going the direction that is
there
not meant
is a
for
North
you,
Star.
there is a North Star, right? There is something. I don't care what you call it,
There
what name you put on the
absolutely is.
label, but like, and it is like if you're going the wrong way, you feel it. I love you said you feel it physically.
Feel it physically.
And when you're not going the way that's meant for you, the world has a funny way of constantly like reminding you or nudging you or waking you up and saying, right over here. And it can start with a yearning. It can start with an irk. It can start with a calling. It can start with just curiosity, right? What you're naturally curious, what you love to learn. And it can be all the way to that chill feeling that you just gave all of us. It wasn't just you gave that to me. And if anybody's actually paying attention and present out there, not distracted, I know you felt that. You could not have felt that.
Yeah.
Um, and for everybody that's listening, like listen to that. Don't suppress that. Follow that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of you are saying yes and nodding your heads because that's why you're pursuing the vehicle you're in. That's why you're passionate about this industry. That's why you've already made the leap. And we're here just to affirm that we all go through that and you're doing the right thing. Let me shift gears, Mary Kay, because I get the vibe that you're, I'm going to call it a dreamer, I know you say that one of your kind of superpowers,
Right.
like you have the ability to see a vision, and I get the vibe that you're a dreamer. My question for you is, and it might just sound like a silly question, but how? Like, how do you see yourself having that ability to share a vision or share a dream? Is it something you've always had? You've always had the ability to see and always had the ability to think big? Is it something you've had to learn and develop? What do you do to kind of exercise that muscle of truly building a vision for yourself and a dream for yourself and sharing that with others?
Oof. This is so good. This is so good. I was never a dreamer. I told you that that was not how I was raised. I was not raised to think that there was nothing I couldn't do. It was very much like, oh, like my dream was to be a newscaster when I was younger. And I loved Diane Sawyer.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to be Diane Sawyer and I wanted to be Joan London and like all these amazing newscasters when I was a little girl. And my mother said to me, and again, she was trying to keep me safe, right? This is love. This is not like wanting to crush my dream. She was keeping me safe, but she was like, oh, honey, that's one in a million. Like that's going to be because it's a tough road, right? Like our parents don't want us to go down a tough road. Going to Wall Street was a safe road. Let's just call it what it is. I was going to go there and I was going to do okay. And I would have kept the same good, comfortable life all of my life. And our parents want that for us. They don't want us to go through struggles. They don't want us to go through pain and rejection and all of those things that real living is filled with, you know? But yeah, so I was not a dreamer. Okay. As a matter of fact, I was told that's scary. That's not a really smart place to go because that's just riddled with abandonment and rejection. So that was very much my context around that. When I started at my company, I saw something bigger than me really quickly. And again, I credit this to my North Star. I credit this to my higher power. It was so much bigger than me. It was not about the products. It was this idea of I was going to be a part of female empowerment. And
Mm-hmm.
and and that's a very broad term, right, Blake? I mean, I personally believe that we can only empower ourselves. I can't truly empower anyone. I can be an inspiration, I can be a motivation, I can be an example, but people need to empower themselves. And that idea of wow, what does that look like? What does it look like to have tens of thousands of people that are all trying to find a bigger purpose, a bigger meaning, a more soul infused life? And I just started thinking about it. Like it just started with me thinking about it. And the thinking about it became journaling about it. And the journaling about it became actually embodying it
Mm-hmm.
and feeling it in my core, like as if it had already happened. Okay. So in my mind's eye, I already had tens of thousands of people on my team selling tens of millions of dollars a year. It was done. And what I found when I started to really say, yeah, that's possible, I started to like radiate that out there in the world. And this was a huge shift for me. Okay. This was like the number one shift is when I really started to understand the power of my energy. And so the idea of it, to the journaling of it, to the daydreaming of it, to the actual embodying it as if it had already happened, turned into this magnet that I became.
So let's rewind, and you might have just given us the directive I'm trying to understand. But we all start as dreamers, right? I know you have littles. My son just turned 8, my daughter's 5, and one of the things I love most about this season of life is hearing them talk about what their visions are. My son's already saving right now for I don't know if you've seen these flying drone cars, the Jetson one. He's saving because he thinks it'd be cool to have a flying car to fly himself to school. Like they're able. when we're young, we're able to dream. Like we're able to dream without limits. We're able to have vision.
I was
But
going to be funded.
a lot of us, if we're honest, something happens, and
Yeah.
it limits our own ability to allow ourselves to go there, right? We start to think, and then we get this inner self talk of, come on, be realistic. No, that's not possible. No, that's not for you, right? Oh, maybe another life. Like all this stuff, probably because we went through a scenario where we fell down, right? Where we realized that we weren't
Afraid to
super.
fail. We're all afraid to fail.
So let me ask you, to that person, right? To the person that's listening right now that is not allowing themselves to go there. And the minute they go there, they got that inner talk that shuts them down before they even can activate that dream and that vision. They are literally unable to have a vision or have a dream. And they hear you talking about how you're manifesting and create. Help us get there. Like, what would be your directive be to the person right now that just feels like they're stuck on their own ability to think big?
Okay. First step is you really have to evaluate who you're around. Who are you surrounding yourself with? It's really, really important because big thinkers, big dreamers will just feed your big dream. But if you're around people that are similar to you, and I'm going to assert that if that's the way one of your listeners is living, they're most likely surrounded by people like that, because we truly do become the sum of people we spend time with the most, right? You've got to make sure you get yourself into a situation where you're going to get support on this. I mean, it needs to be supported. People can't do this on their own. The world is going to tell you you're going to fail. The world is going to keep you small. The world is going to feed you stories. I mean, our brain's job is to keep us safe and to show us, don't go there. It's very dangerous down that road. Oh gosh, there's a snake. There's I mean, that's our brain's job. So a couple of things. That's number one, is to really look at who are you surrounding yourself with. Number two, the power of meditation, Blake, is like something that I'm so passionate about, teaching and telling people to do, because your soul knows what's for you. Your head's going to tell you a whole nother story, but when you can really connect to your body, your heart, and your soul, it is never going to fail you, and you might fall and you might fail and all of those things. But what is laid on your heart is always meant for you. You're the only person that can block it energetically. And, another big shift for me in my own business and my own journey was to really stay out of other people's stories. Because I was told that this was a bad idea. And I was told that this was not smart. And I was told, stay where you are. Like, what are you doing? I was told all those things out of people just wanting to keep me safe. I mean, it was love. It wasn't that they were trying to crush a dream. It wasn't that, it wasn't that they were trying to say, oh, you can't do that thing over there. It was just their own perceptions and their own fears being projected onto me, their own insecurities being projected onto me. And so you have to be careful of that. You've got to be around the people that are saying and thinking and doing big things, because they're just going to give you that courage. We all need the courage. It takes a lot of bravery to step out and say, this isn't all there is. I want more. It takes a lot of bravery.
What you just gave us was practical, right? So for everybody that's listening right now, you're hearing Mary Kay say she was in a place where she wasn't able to see bigger. She wasn't dreaming because of the environment that was around her. First thing she did was shift her environment. And I think, Mary Kat's one of probably the most under communicated, highest values of what we do in direct sales is we take anybody with a desire and immediately put them in proximity with a peer group of mentors, of like minds, of positive thinkers, of people that are telling you can do and you will do the opposite of most people's environment, right? In my opinion, that might be the highest value of community, right, within the direct selling space that we just don't talk about enough. So I love that you said that. So it starts with community, making a shift in your environment. Then it gets you thinking differently. I love that you said that you take then the thoughts and actually go to paper. There's something about, right, taking those thoughts and the journal.
Pen to paper. It's essential in, and in this journey for sure, but even just a life skill to have, because there really is, it tricks the mind to actually thinking, I can do that.
Mhm.
It really, there is, I'm sure there's science behind it. I'm sure. But there's a reason why, smart people tell you to journal, right? It's
No,
really powerful.
you're right, right. And then you journal, and then don't argue it. I don't know why it works. Mary Kay doesn't know why it works. Where did she tell you it works? So it starts to
I'm
work.
just here to tell you that it works. And the minute that I'm sure people have experienced this where you
Mhm.
walk into a room and some heads turn, or
Mhm.
somebody walks in a room and your head turns. And it's not necessarily that there's just somebody super beautiful that walked in the room. It's an energy that you're feeling about that person. It's
Mhm.
something that is moving you. And you're like, who is that? And what is she up to? There's a light that starts to just radiate out of you. I always say a person who's up to big things cannot be ignored.
Mhm.
They
I love it.
can't. They honestly can't be ignored, because it's, again, it's just this energy that just keeps multiplying. And people are like, I don't know what she's up to, but I want more of it. And they can't quite put their finger on it, but they want more of it. And if you ask me, I think there's a lot of people that are walking around with a joyless life. And I always say, network marketer, we're like hope dealers over here, because it really does show that there's hope, and we really do believe in the limitless potential of people. And it's just, to me, that's the single biggest gift that this industry has given me that I now get to pass on to others. And it kills me that people get scared to jump in. And I try so hard to change that, but I get it. I get it. I so get it, because I was there. I
Mhm.
so get it.
I love that we're talking about like the inside game here, the inner game, like the real work. And some of the listeners are going, okay, well, give me some tactics. This is where you start, right? You got to start with getting in touch with your passion, your purpose, your energy. That's what's going to radiate, right? To use Mary Kay's words, and attract people to you. So I love that we're
What
going
do
there.
you want,
What
right?
motivates you? Let me ask you, like, what motivates? Like, and I'm sure you get this question as a leader all the time. Like, how do I stay motivated? Right? What motivates you? Right? What drives you? Has that changed over the decade that you've been doing this? Have you had to adapt that inner drive? Like, where do you go to when you don't feel like it? Talk to us about that.
Oh gosh, this is a good one. Uh, get pens and papers for this one. Um, Motivation is hard. It's hard to keep yourself motivated. Self motivation, I think, is one of the most challenging things a human being can do. For me, it's like I have to always go to a place of, this is not about me. Because we can get into our egos, which, and I'm not talking about the arrogant ego, I'm talking about the ego that keeps you small,
Mhm.
because I still get scared. I still get scared to go bigger. I still get scared to, even go live on Facebook. Like, I get scared of all the things that we know work to move our businesses. But I always have to put myself in a place of, this is bigger than me. And if there's one person out there that me showing up today can impact or make a difference for, that's worth it.
Mhm.
Sometimes we think like tens of thousands, or why don't I have so many likes, or why aren't there so many live viewers on my videos, or this must not be working. And I think that's something that is such a myth, and it's such a lie that you're telling yourself in your head, because one person seeing what you're doing, one person listening and saying, oh my gosh, that inspires me, that gives me the motivation to show up every single day,
Mhm.
every single day. And here's another thing, and I just do want to share this. Sometimes you need to take a break, and that's okay too. And I think sometimes we talk about hustle and grind and team no sleep, and there's a lot of that language sometimes in our industry, but it's also okay to know when you need to take a pause. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's just as powerful as when to hustle,
Mhm.
because sometimes you do need to take a rest. Sometimes you do need to know that I built something really significant and I need to take a rest. It does, for me, that always does two things. It recharges me like no other. And I think it's one of the beautiful things about our industry is that we do get that freedom to say, I'm going to stay in bed today. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to, recharge myself. I'm going to go have lunch with a friend. I'm going to cancel my call, whatever it is that you need to do. I think it's important to know that there's self-care that needs to happen in your business when you're not feeling motivated. Like sometimes I can't get there, and that's okay. To me, that's an indication that I need more self-care. And that's another thing that this company and this industry has really given me, is a sense of self-love, self-care. So I'll go get a massage, or I'll go have lunch with a friend, and that completely recharges me. But every day, what motivates me is the idea that there is somebody out there that is living a default life and needs to hear that that's not all that's out there, that this is not as good as it gets, that there is more for you. And just really helping others to step into that is something that motivates me every day. And I really set that intention, Blake, every morning. I don't let my feet hit the floor without having gratitude and giving gratitude. And gratitude is something that is the basis and at the cornerstone of my entire life. And I think that in and of itself is just so motivating to me, to know that I'm so grateful for everything that I have, for everything that is around me. And it's not always rainbows. Nobody's, promised a paradise. But I'm just grateful for all of it. So gratitude keeps me super motivated too.
Well, and it keeps you grounded. And I appreciate you just saying that, because we all can slip in. I mean, let's be honest. If you're listening to this show, you're probably an achiever, right? You're probably a go-getter. You're someone that wants more, you deserve more, you're on the path to getting more. And for all of us, it's easy to slip into, oh, I know I only have I'm going to use likes because you ran with that example. I only have, 10 likes or 10 viewers on this live. And now I want 100. And then when I get to 100, well, now I only have 100. And why can't I have 1,000? And when you have 1,000, well, why do I only have 1,000? Why can't I have 10,000? And it's a never ending slope, right, of chasing more. And I love that you're keeping the main thing the main thing. It's not about the likes or the viewers or how big of a room or how many people are saying yes. It's about impacting just one person today, right? One story today.
Yeah, we're moving forward if we can do that. And that honestly has a ripple effect on the world.
Mhm.
That, and each one of us has that power. Each one of us has that power. But we have to be in alignment with who we are and what we're doing, right?
Mhm.
Because, if you're not, it's certainly hard to be motivated, number one. um, and it's also just really hard to just do something that's going to be inspiring or impactful because you're just not in alignment. Um, so anyway, this business it's just like no other.
It's
It's like,
beautiful. And I appreciate you reminding all of us that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? In our
gotta take
business,
a break.
how to recharge. We're in the business of transferring energy to others. And that means you have to have the energy to transfer. So let go of the guilt. It's allowed. You're hearing it from Mary Kay. Like, make sure you're doing what you need to do to show up as your best self. I love all of it. I can talk about this stuff, Mary Kay, all day long. And it is important for all of you listening. Like, the stuff we're talking about matters. Like, you don't have to chase the expectations. You have those feelings for a reason. It's pushing you in a direction of you're meant to. Tapping into that is your superpower. You're going to have people that tell you it's not possible. Create an environment that tells you it is, and take those thoughts, put them to paper, right? And then start to create a reality. Like, that is the basis of what we do.
Yeah, just take one step. Don't look at the big picture. Just take one step towards that vision. Know what that vision is. Like, what do you want to create? What does your life look like when you get there? Feel it. Feel it in your body. Who are you being? What are you able to do? What's around you when you get what it is that you want? It's one step at a time. It's not, I always talk about stay the course, because there's patience involved in this business. And I think that that's one of the number one traits that is also something that's not talked about a lot in our business. I mean, human beings, waiting is excruciating. It's really hard to be patient as a human being, but being patient is an active part of living. And none of this happens overnight. The person you see sitting before you, 5 years ago, I wasn't even this person. So it's a journey. It's definitely, it takes time. And I just think patience is just be patient. And for me, I already know my vision 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I will wait a lifetime, you know, because I understand it's not on my timing, right? It's not. I mean, if it were, we'd all be doing this, right? We'd all be saying, well, let me just go over there and find success. But it takes, and I wouldn't cut out one moment of my journey, not one moment of the tough days, the days that I failed, the days I had to take to the bed with a box of tissues. I wouldn't trade one of them because it made me the courageous, brave, and strong person that you see before you, you know? So don't take a shortcut, I guess is my point. Like, go on this journey of unlocking who you truly are. And it is the greatest love story in the world.
Beautifully put. I absolutely love it. Let's say, Mary Kay, that I'm a listener, and let's say I'm in alignment, or I'm going to take everything we just talked about, put it into action, and take steps, right, to create that alignment in my life. So let's say we're tapping into that enthusiasm, that excitement. We know we're going the right direction. We're doing all the things we just said. What are you seeing as a leader in the channel right now, right? Someone leading a lot of people when it comes to a season of shift that we're in? Because we're in definitely a season of shift in the world, right? In our channel, probably in many of our businesses and within our teams. What are you seeing from your vantage point as those shifts at any level? Maybe you're seeing shifts when it comes to the way we attract, right? Or the way we, find new customers or promoters. Maybe you're seeing shifts in the way that we're team building, right? Or systems or tools. It might be technologies. Maybe there's shifts in how you're approaching leadership. You can take it any direction you want, but I'm curious the shifts that you're seeing right now and what you're doing as a leader to adapt and lead people to where you think we're going.
Well, I truly believe this shift is it's always been about customer service, right? But I think the shift is even more about who you're being and not what you're doing, if that makes sense. Like, so I'm trying to really lead my team because where I see people get off track, especially when you're like, I'm in alignment, I'm doing the things, I'm thriving, I'm working my business. They're looking in other lanes, right? They're looking in, well, what this leader's doing or what that leader's doing, or maybe what somebody in another company is doing that's working. And they're not staying true to who they are and who they're meant to serve. Because in this industry, it's like, yes, we all have products and services, and that's our platform. But it's like, how are we using that to serve and to find a solution to a problem, really, right? And so I think the world right now, the shift that I'm seeing is people are wanting real authenticity. They want real, people doing real things and not just a bunch of things. I mean, look, we've got the AI world, we've got Chat GPT, we've got all of this stuff that's kind of feeding us who we think we should be in this space. And I'm seeing and I'm coaching my team in stay true to you, stay in your lane, stay true to you. And that honestly is resonating with people.
What does that look like? So like practically or tactically, if I'm a brand new, right, consultant distributor within your community, what does that mean? And what kind of high level directive are you giving me in terms of like steps I can take to use who I am to actually create attraction or conversation out there?
Yeah. And listen, there's shifts in systems and all of that because the industry is shifting to an older demographic as well, at least in my company. And, there's still always the younger ones that are getting involved. And let me just tell you, the younger ones, you're smart. Yeah, get in this business early. My gosh, I wish I got into this business earlier than I did. But it really is a solution for older, more mature people who are really in a place of like, I don't know if I can retire. I don't know if I have the money. I mean, everybody is really, looking at their financial landscape and saying, I think I might need to do something else. But then they're finding that they get into this industry and it's giving them a whole nother network of a community and a group of people that, when you're later in life, it's very difficult to make new friends, to meet new people. And so everything is kind of shifting in that direction. Systems are shifting off of social media. But what I mean about what I see the most success in right now is when people are vulnerable. and really sharing who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, getting real about their own stories and their tough times and their good times and all of it, and just staying in their lane. The minute they start to try something different, or let me try over here, or let me go over here, it's always where I see people saying, nothing's working. I'm showing up every day. I'm doing all the things and nothing's working. My first question will be, well, what did you change? You changed something, and they're like, well, yeah, I was trying something new and I saw this. There's a lot of things being thrown at us that are working in an e-commerce space, right? Not just network marketing, but in an e-commerce space. And there's so much now online and it's everywhere, you know? Um, so I really think that that's the key to always staying in alignment with who you are. And that really is what is energetically going to radiate with the person that's meant to see you, and meant to buy from you, or get a service from you, or work with you and join your team. They're always out there, but I always say you have to be in all the places at all the times to be in the right place at the right time. And then just being you is always going to attract what's meant for you.
I love that. And that's true, right? Everybody's staring at everybody in the industry on Instagram or TikTok or all the places. And it can be so easy to be, oh, I want to try to do what they're doing. I want to, channel this person. And at the end of the day, doing that is getting you further away from who you are and your authentic message and the journey you're on, and all the things that you're telling us and sharing with us, creating that energy. So I love that. It's beautiful. And the good thing about that is everybody can do it. Everybody can be themselves and share their story genuinely. Just let go of trying to do everything else.
That's right. And be patient with yourself. Like this, you've got to like build this muscle too. You've got to build this presence, this courage, this sort of comfortability with putting yourself out there. I mean, entrepreneurs have to put themselves out there. I mean, that in and of itself is extremely scary, and exposing you to extreme judgment. But it's so much easier. I mean, I know from the beginning when I first started, I looked at a lot of big leaders and I did try to mimic them. It never worked. It never worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I'm in the wrong industry. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not a good network marketer. Maybe I'm not a good leader. I'm here to tell your viewers, you are all incredible network marketers. You just have to be yourself and find your way and be patient in that journey of finding your way. And honestly, if I if I tried to be all these other amazing big leaders, they're doing what they do, right? And that's unique to them, and that's taken. They're doing them. The world needs you to do you, and you will always find what you're looking for.
I'm also getting a sense just in your answers and also just the energy you're giving to all of us and sharing with all of us in this conversation that you're very good at staying out of your head and staying in your heart, right? You're very good at what I'll call kind of heart-centered leadership. And we can feel that from you. And I'm sure your team feels that, which is why you're having one of the reasons you're having the success you're having. I'm also, to use your words, I can sense you're mission oriented. You mentioned women empowerment, and you can tell you're, in my opinion, more mission motivated maybe than money motivated. Money is important and critical, but you're leading with the mission. Maybe speak to what that means from you, like how you truly lead from the heart or stay heart centered, or how you truly lead with a mission first, obviously also believing in financial abundance, and would love your perspective on that.
Yeah. So for me, it's always impact over income. Always. The money will always come. Money is energy. It's either flowing to you or it's flowing away from you. And I think the moment that you realize that, just from an energetic standpoint of you're either attracting it or you're repelling it, So I also learned very early on, by powers that are probably greater and more powerful than me, that I did want to make more of an impact. Like, money is definitely not a motivator. I'm not a red personality, which is what they call it in our industry. And I really just, I saw that pushing up people is like the best way I can. Pushing up people always want to do good. People
Mhm.
always want to do a good job, you know? So for me, it always became about pushing up people. One of the best compliments that I ever get is that I make everyone feel like the very first distributor, that I make everyone feel, that they're the most important person in the room, because they are. They really, really, really are. Every single person in your organization is an important piece of the puzzle. Everything that they do, their greatness brings out everyone else's greatness. And when we all can operate in our greatness, we're unstoppable, right? We're fireflies. We just all light up. And I learned that very early on. So I did become very mission based. And the mission was to push up people for me. The mission was and honestly, Blake, to get really vulnerable with you, it was healing the broken little girl in me, right? To love on somebody, to see their beauty, to see their limitless potential, to see that, this light really that was inside of them was really healing me, healing that inner child in me, and still does to this day. So it became so much more than selling a product. It became so much more, as I said earlier, than a title that I was going to carry, because all that comes. I promise you, it all will come if you're setting your mind on making an impact for people. All of that will come. Because when you push people up and you shine their light, every human being in the world is unstoppable and is limitless. It's just about showing them and making them see it for themselves. And I think the hardest part about my job is sometimes there are people that just maybe don't want to see it.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, it's right there. It's right there, and they just give up on themselves too soon. Or maybe they have somebody, I call it their happiness team, somebody in their inner circle that's telling them, you've tried enough. We're done with this. And nothing is more heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, oh, she was right there. But maybe she had somebody that, didn't get her to hang in there long enough. But that has been from day one, the way I've shown up every day. I still am told by my team that I'm the one they come to when they need to be reignited into the mission, or they need the vision to be a little brighter for themselves. I'm definitely the phone call that they make. I'm definitely on that speed dial. And I really, really, really do believe in the power of energy and how you show up, and being really personally responsible for that energy, because it is felt through a screen. It is
Mhm.
felt through a post. It is felt through a phone call. You don't need to be in the room with somebody for your energy to be felt. And being personally responsible for my energy is something that I have a very strict regimen around every day, on how I show up with the best energetic sort of vibration that I can, because when we vibrate high, we help others vibrate high too. And I'm really, really mindful of that in this business. And when you get your team or your people vibrating high, watch out. Watch out. There isn't anything they can't do.
What I love, and I'm just getting a chance to know you and your story, but it's real. I can tell when you share those words. It's weird. It's real. It's genuine. It's your actual intention and belief. And people today, their BS meters are higher than ever before. Like we know the difference between something that's a real intention and something that's a marketing
Yeah.
tactic.
Yep.
And I want to just echo what you're saying so the listeners connect the dots for themselves. You guys, because Mary Kay just gave you her belief system, her operating system. She said she really believes that people are limitless, that everybody has a light, that people have a purpose and a calling, that one person can make a difference, that one story can create a ripple. If you're listening to our conversation, you're getting more than directive, you're getting Mary Kay's belief system. And when you actually have a belief system, the inner work stuff, that is, like she's saying, it's going to come through in your conversations, in your Zooms, in your meetings, right? In your posts. And that is what I'm hearing, Mary Kay, you say is the magic, is the radiation, is
It's
the
the secret
energy.
sauce.
It's the secret sauce is what I'm hearing you put down.
It's the
Let me,
secret
I
sauce.
was going to shift gears to rapid fire, but you just opened the door. I want you to give us a list. You kind of said that you do something to protect your energy. I'm a big believer in energy management, and things either add energy or take away energy. And that's it. There's only two buckets.
There's only two
what do
buckets.
you do? What do you do to like, you've given us stuff to give you energy. What do you do to protect your energy from people or things that try to suck it from us? I'm curious.
Well, there's a couple of sort of, you know, tactical things that I do. Like I really do put myself in a bubble, like visually, most days just to protect my energy because I am around a lot of people all the time. I cut cords a lot from people. I don't know if anyone knows that sort of regimen. And, you know, you really do, because sometimes you can't help not being around negative people. Like sometimes it's people living in your home that are having a bad day. You know what I mean? And it's totally fine. But like, I literally take my hand as if I'm chopping something and just get rid of it off of me. Like that's not my stuff.
Like physically, you're just like
physically, I am like chopping in front of my body. Like that's not mine to take, you know? And then outside of that, I mean, listen, people are going to project their insecurities on you all the time, more so when you're up to a big game. Okay. So just be prepared for that. Like when you're up to a big game, like people want to, it's triggering for a lot of people. It just is. It's the way it is. So for me, sometimes I just want to like put a mirror up and say, I'm projecting that right back to you. Right. And it's just saying it in your head, guys, like honestly, just saying it in your head, because it's an awareness that that's not your stuff to take. Right. And just having that awareness of, that's not mine. Because you can feel when it feels ick. When somebody says something to you or does something or is feeling, energy is felt. And I know everybody feels it. Sometimes you don't have an awareness of it, but I know everybody feels it. You might have gone to a party or an event and you're like, ooh, I don't like how I look, or I feel like my outfit's weird, or that's an indication that you're not with your people. You look beautiful and your outfit's fine, but you're not with your people. They're making you feel ick. Okay. So that's a clear sign that like you should probably exit that room, number one, but also just to have the awareness like, okay, this is not my stuff to take. I'm amazing. I'm enough. I'm worthy. And just knowing that it's not my stuff to take is a super powerful way to just continuously preserve your energy, but also to just like keep you in an extremely happy and positive place of life might not be perfect, but I'm gonna be okay, you know? So those are some of the things I do. I mean, I ground myself almost daily in Mother Earth. I have a tree on my street that I absolutely love. And if nobody understands the power of nature, like just put your hands on a tree. It feels so good just breathing in and breathing out and put your feet in the dirt. Like silly things like this, but it's really important that we take care of our energy like that. And especially when you're, you know, leading a large organization and you're really up to a big game and you just want to make sure that you are bringing the fire every day and that you're showing up in the most positive of light, even when your business might not be great or your company might be in a tough, you know, downward spot. Who knows? I mean, we all go through the roller coaster of network marketing. We all go through the ups and downs, and staying on that roller coaster and staying the course and knowing that exactly where you are is where you're meant to be is 100% the secret to my success. When others run, I stay, period. And that's because of my vision. I'm going to have bad days. I could have a whole leg of my organization quit on me tomorrow. I'd have a pity party. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I would be able to move on and say, okay, where am I going to go find another person who's going to run with me and do this with me? And I really, really have that mindset every single day. And I did not before this industry. So I'm really, really grateful to just being able to live life that way, because it's quite a lovely place to be.
Well, when you have that type of mindset, nothing's going to stop you, right? You guys, if all of us made the decision right now that everything can go away tomorrow and you're going to stay where you are on the path that you're on because you know it's meant for you and you're going to restart, maybe not like it, maybe get upset for a minute, but you're going to do it. You guys, then nothing's going to get in your way and every door is going to open for you. It starts with that decision. And I thank you for sharing your energy list. I'm into all of that stuff. Like, you know, and there's actual science in the nature conversation. Like I've been drawing water my whole life. That's conversation for another day. Mary Kay, I want to be mindful of your time. And before we get to closing thoughts, this has been an amazing conversation. You've been super open, transparent, vulnerable, highly insightful, very practical. And before I get kind of any closing thoughts on your heart, just quick rapid fire. I'm just going to ask you 3 questions. There's no right or wrong. And if you can just give me the first 1-sentence answer that comes to your mind. Obviously, direct selling shift.
Let me ground myself.
Yeah, this is it. 1 sentence. Here we go. Rapid fire.
Okay.
Whatever comes to your heart. So I'm a big believer, as you've gotten from this dialogue, in like perspective shifts. Like I really believe that the right shift at the right time, right, can change everything for a person and put them on a different trajectory for their business and their life. So my first question for you, rapid fire, is what's the largest belief shift, right? Mindset shift that you made that has gotten you to where you are today? Just one, single one, first one that comes to your mind.
Oh gosh. A belief that everything is possible.
I love it. So everything is possible. Second question. Same question, but framework for a brand new distributor, brand new consultant, just joined this industry. Maybe they're listening to this, their very, very first week. What do you think is the most important belief shift for a brand new person at the starting line of their direct selling business?
If you can see it, you can be it.
I love it. And last one's kind of an idealistic question. It's a big dream or a big vision question. So I'm curious your response. I often think about the power of our channel. How so many amazing companies, so many amazing brands, all with thriving communities, right, of passionate people. And I often think, like, what would happen if every single distributor, consultant, promoter, representative, whatever we call ourselves, right, across the entire channel, were to have like a single belief shift? If you could automatically insert in every single distributor, in every company, in every platform all across the world, one thought, one perspective shift, what would you give them?
You're where you're meant to be.
I love that. Powerful.
I
Beautiful.
really believe that people need to stop looking for the grass is greener somewhere else, or that there's a shinier bulb somewhere else. Find your roots, plant your roots, and stay the course.
Beautifully put. Any closing thoughts? We've covered so much ground in this conversation. The inner work, connecting to our purpose, the signs we can start to look for, the signs of the going the wrong way, right? Finding the right environment, being ourselves, stop trying to mimic everybody else, being ourselves and transferring that, tapping into that inner passion and energy so we radiate the right way, how to protect our energy, right? Some tactics, the shifts in the channel. We've covered a lot of ground. Anything that you want to leave us with in terms of closing thoughts?
Oh gosh. I really just wish people would bet on themselves. I really do. If there's one thing I hope my story has shown and illustrated, it's that if you bet on yourself, you can't go wrong. And it is such a fun journey to go on. It doesn't come without bumps and bruises, but it really is. You get one shot at this life, Blake, and I also really, really believe that the world needs more love right now. That could be a whole nother podcast, but there's a whole lot of love in this industry. And there's a whole lot of savvy business people that are really strategic and really smart and really just believe that everything is possible. And when you open yourself up to that, you're going to be blown away by the magic that shows up. So bet on yourself and just stay the course.
Mary Kay, you are a light. Thank you for taking time away from your family and your team and your community just to share with us value. I know anybody listening to this conversation, you got something, you felt something that is going to create a shift in your business and in your life. Listen to it as many times as you need to listen to it. And if you got value, we're only doing this to give value. Let us know. We don't know if you don't share. So drop by Apple Podcasts, leave a review. We read all of those. And a shift really is a gift. If this made an impact for you, there's a strong chance it's going to impact someone that you know. So share this on your show social. DSN puts out clips that you can go share with all of your direct selling entrepreneurs out there and help spread the word. directsellingshift.com. You do share, just drop by there. You can get access to some really cool AI tools. You can get access to some awesome past conversations. Oh, and by the way, you can also nominate some people in your world that you think might be amazing future guests, and also suggest topics for all of us in the future. So do share, help us get the word out. That's why we're here. Mary Kay, thank you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for sharing us
Thank you.
everything behind the success that you're having in the time today. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. The greatness in me sees the greatness in you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.